Hello and welcome for this live geography revision session. If you can see and hear me, please write yes in the chat and we'll get started. If you can see and hear me, please write yes in the chat and we'll get started. Yeah, okay, I can see a lot of messages. Understood, great. So, what we're going to do today is this live revision session, and there's going to be a format to it. So the format is that I will write the questions here, right? I will give you a question here. The question will come on the screen. I will not tell you the answer straight ahead. You have to write the answer in the comments. Okay. And we will do a set of about 30 questions. For every question, I will give you 1 minute time. So in 1 minute, you have to write the answer in the live chat. Then after the 30 minutes are over, we will discuss the answers and you can tell me what your score has been. Okay. So I hope you've all understood this format. You will soon not see me on the screen. You will only see the screen. What I'll do is I'll write the question here. You look at the question, and as soon as you see the question, you write the answer in the comment, and you will have 1 minute to write the answer. After that 1 minute, we'll move on to the next question. Now, after the entire set of questions is done, only after that will we go for looking at the answers to the questions. So I hope everybody is clear. If everybody is clear on the format, just write ready in the chat and we'll get started. If you're clear on what we're doing in the format, just write ready and we'll get started. Okay, wonderful. So seems like everyone is ready. So we'll get started. So the first question, and I'll give you 1 minute for each. The first question is, Richter scale and Mercalli scale. What you have to tell me is for what they are used and what is the minimum and maximum reading in both. This is the first question. So what they are used? Richter scale is used for what? Mercalli scale is used for what? What is the minimum reading in the Mercalli scale? Maximum reading in the Mercalli scale. No, don't just say earthquake. Tell me about what about the earthquake. Good. Yeah, so you have 1 minute. Give this answer. We move on to the next question after 1 minute. Okay, let's move on to the next question. The next question is question number 2. Factors affecting ocean salinity. You have to tell me the factors that affect ocean salinity. Come on, give me the answer in the comments. You have 1 minute. Okay, wonderful. So I can see that most of you have written the answer correctly. So what we'll do now is move to the third question. Now question 3 for you is, जो chapter है origin of the earth, in that chapter there is a description of all the atmospheres that earth has gone through, right? So tell me what was the composition of the earth's first atmosphere, or the early atmosphere of earth. What was the composition? This you have to tell me. 1 minute, write the answer. Good, most of you are writing the answer correctly. All right, next question. Next question is question number 4. Tell me everything that is formed, all the landforms, or all the, yeah, landforms is probably the right word, or the geographical features that are formed in the case of continental oceanic convergence. When there is continental oceanic convergence, tell me what all features are formed from the start. So first what is formed, then what is formed, then what is formed. Tell me all of that. Again, 1 minute to answer this question. All right, let's go to the next question. The next question is, which layer of the atmosphere is responsible, or necessary rather, for reflecting of radio waves? For radio waves to reflect back to the earth, which layer of the atmosphere is important? 1 minute to write the answer. Okay, let's go to the next question. The next question is, name the four natural greenhouse gases. So you have to name four natural greenhouse gases. Okay, that is the next question. I'll just write it here. Four natural greenhouse gases. Just name that. So four the natural greenhouse gases that are there on the earth. Just name them. This is the next question. SOx and NOx are not natural. SF6 is not natural. Okay, next question. So the next question is about the three cell model of atmospheric circulation. So tell me the latitudes between which the tropical easterlies flow, the westerlies flow, and the polar easterlies flow. So tell me the latitudes for all three of these. 1 minute to answer. Good. You can tell me the names or you can tell me the latitudes. Both is fine. But you should know both. You should know the names also and you should know the latitudes also. Okay, next question. So, off the coast of Japan, if you look at the coast of Japan, there is a warm ocean current and there is a cold ocean current. Give me the names of both these ocean currents. The warm ocean current and the cold ocean current off the coast of Japan. Give me the names of both. You have to tell me which one is cold and which one is warm also. Okay, let's look at the next question. Tell me the conditions that are required for the formation of a tropical cyclone. What are the conditions that are required for the formation of a tropical cyclone? Okay, next question. Tell me about the climate or the climatic conditions in Steppe's region. You also have to tell me where Steppe's are found in the world. So name some region where Steppe's are found and what are the climatic conditions like in the Steppe's. All right, next question. What do you call rain bearing clouds? What is the name of high rain bearing clouds? What do you call them? This is the next question. Tell me the technical name for rain bearing clouds. Or rather, I would say thunder clouds. What is the technical name for them? Good. Most of you are giving the answer correctly. Again, I'll give you 1 minute. Think about it, give the answer. We'll move on to the next one after that. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next question is actually a two-part question. So part one is I'm asking you to name the scale of hardness. The hardness scale, which is used to judge the hardness of materials. What is the name of this hardness scale? This is the first question. Second, tell me the composition of the major mineral that makes up approximately 50% of the Earth's crust. So there is a major mineral which makes up 50% of the Earth's crust. Name this major mineral and tell me its composition. So what is the composition of this major mineral and what is the name of the hardness scale? These two things you have to tell me. Yes, the name of is correct. Yes, the name of the major mineral is correct. Name of hardness scale is also correct, but composition most people are getting wrong. So let's see if you know the answer. All right, next question. Again, a two-part question. Tell me how fjords are formed and tell me how drumlins are formed. You just need to tell me two things here: the name of the agent, the geographical agent that forms these two, and the process. So let's say you can say agent is river, process is erosion. That's obviously not the answer. So tell me in both of these cases, what is the agent and what is the process for the formation of fjords and drumlins? Again, 1 minute for you. Good, good. Most answers are correct. All right. Now let me ask you a question from mapping. Okay. So let me ask you a mapping question. Tell me the names of all the countries from where the Mekong River passes. The Mekong River, the names of all the countries through which it passes. Again, 1 minute for you to answer this question. No, there are a lot of countries. It does not pass through India, yaar. Come on. You need to know this. Think about Mekong Ganga Cooperation Initiative. From there also you can get an idea. Yeah, I'm sorry about the spelling. C is not there. Mekong. Right. All right. Next question. The next question is, tell me the conditions that are required for dew to form. For dew formation, there are certain conditions. Tell me all of those conditions. Again, 1 minute for you to answer this question. Okay, good. Most of you are giving the right answer, but try and write all the conditions. Don't make it incomplete. All right. Next question. Name the processes. Name the processes of physical weathering. How physical weathering occurs. Name all the processes. Don't explain them to me. Just name the processes of physical weathering. Again, 1 minute for you to answer this question. Okay, next question. We've all heard about Coriolis force, right? We all know what this is. So tell me, there are a few set of questions related to this. The first question, at equator versus at the pole, what is the magnitude of Coriolis force? Second, the question of Coriolis force is direction of Coriolis force. Direction of Coriolis force, you can tell me as per hemisphere or however you want to answer this question. And what is the relative direction of friction? So friction force, how does it interact with Coriolis force? These are three questions you need to tell me about Coriolis force. Again, 1 minute for you, answer these questions. All right, last question for today. What is thermohaline circulation? Tell me about thermohaline circulation. Or I will ask one more question after this. This is the second last question. So tell me about thermohaline circulation. What is it? Again, 1 minute for you to answer this. Okay, last question for today. Again, a mapping question. Tell me the countries that are surrounding the Red Sea. So, countries surrounding the Red Sea. Give me the name of those 5 countries. Last question for today. Good. DEESSY. Good. Kuwait nahi hai yaar, Qatar nahi hai. You're thinking about the wrong sea. You're thinking about the wrong sea. All right. So that brings me to the end of this live test, right? So before we discuss the answers, first tell me, how do you think the experience was? Because there were certain things that I did to ensure that this revision is slightly different from the revision that you can do yourself. So firstly, if you would have noticed, the questions were from different chapters. Like, it was ensured that it was not in a sequence, right? So firstly, why don't you share your experience, and then we'll talk about the test, and then we'll discuss the answers. Answers are fairly simple. The questions were not that tough in my opinion. I think you should have gotten all of them correct if you've been reading well. So I'd just like to know how you felt after this test was done. Do you think you need to improve? Did you do well? Yes, I'll give you the answers, don't worry. I'll give you the answers, not a problem. Yeah, this is not these are not MCQs. This is active recall. This is how it's supposed to be done. Yeah, I don't want you to do MCQs, right? Because if we do MCQs, then the problem is that you can guess with the answers. And this is how you're supposed to do active recall. If you don't have if you don't have options in front of you, it becomes more difficult for you to answer. And that is why I was giving you these questions, and these questions are relatively easy in my opinion. Today there was no tough question that I asked, in my opinion. I think all of them were pretty easy to do. Right? But when you are revising, this is the technique that you need to follow. Right? So this is what I was trying to tell you, that जब आप revise करते हो, this is what you need to do by yourself too. So what happens is that when you go for revision, right, do not reread the chapter. दोबारा से नहीं पढ़ना है चैप्टर को किसी भी हालत में, right? Yeah, I'm sorry for the slow mode. I'll take care of that next time. Do not reread the chapter, okay? Reread करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Second thing, revise with the book closed. This is exactly what active recall is. नहीं, आंसर मैं बता दूंगा, डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट, राइट? This is how active recall is done, and revise in a random order. This was the first session, that is why I've ensured that it's not the most difficult one, right? It's not the most difficult one, but from now on I'll ensure that we do the questions that are more difficult than this, right? Okay, so now let us look at the questions that we had, and then we'll look at the answers. So the first question was Richter and Mercalli scale. Yeah, I'll change the slow mode. I'll change the slow mode if you want. The voice is cracking. I don't think so. It should be okay. Yeah. So let's talk about Richter and Mercalli scale. So again, this is not a difficult question. Richter scale is for magnitude. Mercalli scale is for intensity. Richter scale is a logarithmic scale, so it cannot start from 1. It starts from 0. It'll go on till 10, and Mercalli scale will go on till 12. Right? So I hope this question you're aware of. Now tell me if you got this right. I hope most of you got this right. Right? Richter scale is a logarithmic scale. Just remember that Richter scale mein when there is an increase in 1, it means that it's not just a one entity increase, there is a logarithmic increase, right? So there is an order of magnitude increase. Mercalli scale is an intensity based scale. Mercalli scale is based on visual intensity of an earthquake, right? So this is from 1 to 12. So I hope you got this question right. Not that difficult in my opinion. Again, next question, factors affecting ocean salinity. Directly NCERT question, right? Continentality, addition of how many rivers are being added, presence of brackish water, etc. Right? Again, very easy question, directly from the NCERT, right? जो भी NCERT के factors हैं, but then this is how you're supposed to revise. जब आप ocean salinity पढ़ रहे हो, ये factors ऐसे नहीं है कि सिर्फ पढ़ के चले जाने हैं. You have to know these factors on your tips, right? Things like depth, things like addition of water, presence of brackish water around, presence of continents around, etc, etc, temperature. So these things you need to know. So I hope this question also you got right. Not that difficult in my opinion. All right. Third question. ये कई लोगों का गलत हुआ था. Again, this is a direct question of NCERT. It is about the evolution of atmosphere that has happened on Earth. So the first atmosphere of the Earth mainly contained hydrogen and helium. And this is again a direct question from the NCERT. Right? It's not something that is difficult in my opinion, because directly NCERT se hai. So, right? So again, I hope this is not a problem. Next question. Landforms and geographical features that are formed by continental ocean convergence. Not a difficult question in my opinion. Again, can be solved, especially if you draw the diagram yourself, right? So if you draw a continental slide and an oceanic plate, right? The oceanic plate will be the one that will submerge. So there will be formation of a trench. Light magma will connect here, a fold mountain will form here, and the light magma will then lead to volcano formation. So this is what I wanted to know, the landforms and the geographical features, all of these landforms that are formed when continental oceanic convergence happen, right? So again, not a difficult question for us to get. Now, layer of the atmosphere that is responsible for reflecting radio waves. Again, this is a standard question, and the answer here is ionosphere. It is a previous year question also, so I was just waiting to see if you guys could get this right. So not a problem. So again, layer of the atmosphere, ionosphere is the answer. Again, it's a previous year question also, fairly standard questions. That's what I'm saying. These questions were fairly easy in my opinion. Now the 4 natural greenhouse gases. Now this question, I don't know why so many people got wrong. I saw the comments and people were writing about SF6. People were writing about, NOx and SOx. I don't think this is a tough question. So I'd just like to hear from people in the comments who did not know the answer to this, that why they had got it wrong. I'm just reading your comments. I'd like to understand why you had got this particular question wrong. Like, what is the issue in this particular question? Yeah, I'd just like to hear the issue in this particular question. So I think it's fairly easy. Like, in my opinion, you should not have a problem here, right? This question is also from the NCERT, and there was a previous year question also with regards to this, right? So this should not have been an issue. So the answer here is obviously this water vapor, right? Water vapor is the one that is responsible for most greenhouse gas on the earth. Most, like, it is the highest effect on the greenhouse effect. So water vapor is responsible for most greenhouse effect on the earth. Then there is methane. Okay. Then there is carbon dioxide. And lastly, there is also ozone. This most people do not know. So ozone, when it's in the troposphere and once it's in the stratosphere, it has different impacts, right? There are only 4, right? The 4th one is ozone, right? So please ensure that this again is a question that you should have to answer correctly. You should not get this wrong. Then the 3 cells for latitudes. This is again a very easy question. 3-cell model. There's Hadley cell, Ferrel cell, and polar cell. And the latitudes are simple. 0 to 30, then it's 30 to 60, and then it's 60 to 90. So you need to know the names of these 3 cells. The names you need to know. And the other thing you need to know is the latitudes. You also need to know the winds that are flowing here. So how easterlies are formed, then how westerlies are formed, and then how polar easterlies are formed, right? So ये तीनों चीजें आपको आनी चाहिए. Now next, the 2 currents that go off the coast of Japan. Again, not a very difficult question in my opinion. NOx and SOx are not natural. They are coming out of anthropogenic activities, right? Okay, now of the coast of Japan. So if we look at the coast of Japan, 2 ocean currents are there, warm and cold. There is the Kuroshio current. Spelling might be wrong. And there is the Oyo-Shio current, right? So the way I used to remember is that Oyo is cold, okay, or Oyo is cool, right? So Oyo is the cool current and Koro is the warm current. These are the 2 currents This you have to remember. Now, conditions that are there for the formation of a tropical cyclone. Again, not a very difficult question in my opinion. Again, directly from the NCERT, right? The presence of sea surface temperature needs to be above 27 degrees, low pressure needs to be there, then there needs to be Coriolis force present so it will not form on the equator, etc. Again, in my opinion, very not very difficult in my opinion. So this is again something that you should be able to do. Now, the next was about climatic conditions and the climatic conditions that are occurring in the steppes. So steppes, as you know, they are sort of grasslands, temperate grasslands that are there in the mid latitude, mostly in the northern hemisphere, right? So in places like Ukraine or Russia, they'll be present. So you'll know here that rainfall is less. They're in the form of temperate grasslands. Right? Yeah, we can do it for economy as well if you want. That's not a problem. And the rainfall is not enough to support trees, right? This is what we know about steppes. So this you need to know, and then where they are present in the world. So there are certain names of steppes that are present. So there is the Pustas region, the Down region, the Weld region. So I wanted to hear these names. Actually, ये जो names हैं ये आपको world में GC Leong में मिलेंगे. I just wanted to hear some of these names from you. So for example, Pustas, Downs, Weld. I wanted to hear these names. These names most people did not know, right? So I just hope this is also something you revise during time. So for example, the Manchuria grassland in Asia. These are things where steppes are present, right? Okay. Rain-bearing thunder clouds, not a problem in my opinion. Should be pretty easy. These are cumulonimbus clouds. And if you have read my notes, I've given a detailed explanation of how clouds works. So this should not be a problem. Yeah. Now, hardness scale and the chemical composition of one of the most major minerals, right? So if you look at the hardness scale is called Mohs hardness scale, right? And if you look at the composition of the major mineral, this major mineral is feldspar, and it usually contains silicon and oxygen, but it can also contain things like sodium, potassium, aluminium, and calcium in varying quantities, right? So these two are always present, and these two can be present in varying quantities. So I think this again is an NCERT question, not that difficult to solve, and should be something that you should be able to get correctly. Now, let's look at the next question. Fjords and drumlins. Again, in my opinion, something that you should have gotten correctly. Like if you look at it, it's not a very difficult question. These are both glacial landforms. Sorry. So fjords are actually formed from erosion, and drumlins are formed by deposition. This is all I needed to know from this. Right? This is again something that you'll find in the NCERT, not a very difficult question. So fjords from glacial erosion and drumlins from glacial deposition. Next, Mekong River, the countries from which the Mekong River passes, right? So there is obviously China and the countries that are present in Indochina. So there is Thailand here. There is Cambodia. There is, Vietnam. There is Laos. And tell me, have I missed anything? Have I missed any country here? Good. I have missed Myanmar. So there is Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, and Myanmar, and China. So these 6 countries are there, right? Again, something that you should get right. Basic mapping question. Now, conditions for dew to form. Again, in my opinion, should not be something that you should be getting wrong. So there are very clear conditions. There needs to be a clear sky, right? And there needs to be a calm air, so not too many winds. Then the relative humidity needs to be high. Then another thing that is required for dew to form is the dew point should be above the freezing point. Otherwise, what will happen? Ice crystals will form. So again, this is not something that you should get wrong, right? China is not in Mekong-Ganga cooperation. That's correct. But Mekong River passes through China, right? So clear sky on a clear night, basically. Clear night sky rather. Calm winds. Relative humidity should be high. And dew point is greater than freezing point. Again, should not be a problem for you to answer. Processes of physical weathering. Again, this is directly from NCERT, but this is something that we are most likely to forget. Things like salt weathering, unloading and expansion. I wanted to hear these names, basically. Again, direct NCERT question hai. You can just take a look at the NCERT chapter 6. Question is coming from there. But again, not something difficult for you. So you should get this answer correct, right? But when we are revising, we don't do it in this manner, right? Now, next. Question about Coriolis force. Again, it's from the NCERT. Again, something you should get right. That at equator, it is going to be 0. At the poles, it is going to be maximum. The direction is different in the northern hemisphere and in the southern hemisphere, and the friction force opposes the action of Coriolis force mostly, right? Relative to it will go opposite to the wind speed. Now, this question is also not something that is difficult. Should be able to solve this. Now, thermohaline circulation. This is basically the circulation that is happening at the deep level of the ocean, also known as the AMOC. And it happens because of the different temperature and salt concentration in the ocean. So because of that, the water is moving at deeper levels in the ocean and moving at different speeds. It's like a global conveyor belt. So if you've read the AMOC, you would know what thermohaline circulation is. This is something you should be able to solve. Now, last question, countries surrounding the Dead Sea. I think I've also told you the mnemonic for this. It is DEREGSY, right? So not something that should be difficult for you. So there is Djibouti, Eritrea, Egypt, this double S. There is Sudan, there is Saudi Arabia, and there is Yemen. So countries surrounding the Red Sea. So again, not a very difficult question, I think, in my opinion. Now, if we have solved this this level of questions, so just tell me. I think that's it, and we've done all the questions. Now tell me, how many did you get right? What was the what was the percentage of the questions that you got right? How did you do? And how was this different from your normal revision schedule? So how you usually revise? And no, you can skip co-append classification. I think just once you can read it, and that would be enough. And how was this different from your normal revision? Did you feel any difference in the form of revision? So any difference in the form of revision, and how many did you get right? Okay, so if you're getting more than 65 to 70, that should be right. But eventually we have to get to a point that these questions you cannot get wrong, right? Do understand that these all are questions that are coming from the NCERT. कुछ मैंने बाहर का नहीं पूछा है. So if there is let's say कोई एक aspirant है जो बहुत time से पढ़ाई कर रहा है, right? If there is somebody who's been studying for a very long time, they will not get these questions wrong, right? So you cannot get these questions wrong, right? You cannot get these questions wrong. If there are questions that are from the NCERT directly, questions that are there from the notes directly that you are supposed to get right anyway, ये गलत नहीं हो सकते, right? You cannot get this question wrong, and this is what active recall is, right? This is how you're supposed to do active recall. Okay, and let's say I have to tell you how I have done active recall. What I'll do is I'll just show you. So let's say, for example, this is the book that I'm studying right now. Okay, let's say I'm studying Lucent. This is ancient and medieval. For this I use this book. Now I've studied this book. अब अगर मुझे खुद से active recall करनी है, how do I do it? Right, so I'll close the book. Let's say I've only studied this much part of the book so far. So I'll close the book like this, and then randomly I'll open a page. Right, so randomly I'll open a page. After I open this page, I'll look at the first thing I see. So here I see the archaeological sites of Harappan culture. Then I'll close the book and try to revise whatever comes to my mind about that particular topic. Right? So again, randomly close the book, open it to a random page, any random page that you want. So let's say I open it here. Now the first topic I see here is Sakas. So now I'll close the book and try and remember what Sakas did, right? When they came to India, what was their major contribution, etc., etc. Right? Then again a random page to be opened. Now here it is asking me about Bhakti saints of Maharashtra Dharma. So I'll close and remember all the Bhakti saints that were there from Maharashtra. If you do this, this is a random way of active recall. And if you jumble up the questions, it ensures that you revise correctly also. Now, if you found this helpful, do leave a review in the comments. And if you want me to do this for other subjects, right, please do leave that comment also, and then we can do one of these for every subject. What I'm planning is that once we complete the 2 weeks for every subject, if you're following the the 7-month plan that I've made, there are 2 weeks for every subject that I've assigned. Once we complete all subjects once and we complete CSAT, I'll make a group for this and we'll do this every day. So that we'll just take 30 minutes every day and randomly revise questions. So that will help you revise these questions quickly and also do active recall. So if you're okay with this, do leave a comment if you do need this for other subjects as well, and we'll do it too. So thank you for joining in. All the best. Thank you for watching, and let's hope that you've enjoyed this process. See you next time.